This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I interpret this as like just work with something that is capable to fit your criteria. Yeah.
All right. Well interpreted, the sentence.
Okay. Well, let's get into this conversation this hour, and of course, getting into what's happening from a youth engagement perspective and a youth engagement point of view, with what we see happening with the politics of the day. How engaged do you think young people are, or are young people being caught up by the waves that we see, Benjamin?
At this point in time, you find that the young people, especially after the uprising of the Gen Z on June 25th, 2024, you find that at this particular point in time, the youths have aligned themselves with leaders who they believe have a political dialect that is of the same mind. Because you find that after the Gen Z uprising, the young people took a setback and identified themselves with leaders who were capable to achieve the goals of which they believed were fit at that particular time. So you find that politically we are getting into alignment. Yeah.
It's interesting that you said that young people identified leaders who would do what they wanted.
Yes.
As opposed to gotten into positions where they felt they could take up leadership in the future. Why is that? That you'd rather give it to somebody else to do for you, as opposed to getting into a position whereby you can start to get into the politics of it to then essentially get into leadership. Why?
The essence is because at this particular time, you find that we had a Gen Z uprising, then there was a broad-based arrangement. And this broad-based arrangement accommodated leaders from our political party, which was the ODM party. But as time was progressing, you found that certain leaders who were disputing the attacks that the young people faced during the Gen Z protest, some leaders who speak the same language and identify with what the young people wanted to achieve, therefore, you find the young people are inspired by such kind of leaders. Therefore, the young people are still in the course because they are seeking for political power in 2027.
Okay. Are young leaders still on course? Is still trying to figure this thing out and say, okay, rather than us get into it now, we want to identify the leaders who can actually do it. Do you agree, Omonso?
Yeah. There's a meme that I saw the other day, and it was very funny, that life has made us, at the age of 18 to 25, there's that urge or a feeling of vying for at least MCA or MP. If you look at your circle, you hear, I'm going for this MCA, but some are jokers, some are very serious. I'm happy with some of my good friends that we were with on the streets in 2024 and 2025 that have taken up the challenge to vie for these positions. They're seriously, campaigning and, going door to door for that. So are really youth going for this? The answer is yes, and their work. It's not only about Gen Z 2024, them coming out and going home. The conversation has shifted. A few years or many years ago, you realize that the youths could just align with will work with the people in the opposition so that they can get relevance. But we realize in the days that we are right now, the youths are they're seeing what kind of leader or who is going to, work for them. Not only shouting, about, criticizing the government and all that, but young people are also coming to work and support the government. That shows maturity, or that shows how our democracy or how our young people are work. I saw the video.
Can I ask, coming to work in what way? People, you said young people are coming to work and support the government. How?
To work, okay, like I'm saying, most of the time, the young people are being used, to criticize the government.
Okay.
For by leaders who are in opposition who wanted to, to maybe fight the government and to be part of the government or even to vie for positions. But this time round, you see a young person whereby before he does that or before he's being used by other politicians, he's trying also to be able to see what kind of a leader they can work with. That's why I'm saying, as young people, like I've said, there's a video also, there's a very good lady yesterday, a young lady, a Gen Z, who was giving out her views on being tribal, how politics is tribal, how young people, others are going back to the village, supporting their own people. So that shows how woke we are.
Just once, just so that we, I don't want to lose your track of thought. But you mentioned something very critical, that in 2024, you were in the streets with fellow youth.
Yeah, I was there.
What was that about?
It was about the finance bill.
Against who was propelling that new finance bill?
It is the members of National Assembly.
Led by
the majority and the minority leader.
And the minority leader.
Yeah.
So it is the current regime, the current government.
Yeah.
But today you're the youth person. I don't know.
Gen Z.
The Gen Z
Yeah.
of the UDA party.
Yes.
And the UDA party is the ruling party.
Yes.
That had presented that finance bill.
Yeah.
That you went to protest against.
Yeah.
So how did you convert from protesting against this regime, against the president, against the financial architecture, to supporting the regime?
Good. With a lot of reservation, my grandmother always tells me it's only a fool who doesn't change his mind. Every day is a new day. I was in the streets. I was shot. I was abducted.
You were shot?
I was shot.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Rubber bullets. Went through a lot to fight for our country. Went to parliament. I was there personally. Every day I never missed. By then, we were fighting for the finance bill to be rejected in totality. I remember on the 24th, our president came out and gave some sentiments. The next day, he came and said he's not going to send it to law. That touched my heart. Just like Saul, who saw the light on his way to Damascus. I saw the light. I saw that this is a leader who can listen to us. I came to realize it was not all about the Gen Z, reject finance bill. I realized that there are people, anarchists, who wanted to ban our country. Anarchists who are right now are working or operating from Wamunyoro, who are sponsoring goons to come and ban our businesses, to come and ban our country. No. So when I saw that, when I saw a leader like my dad, my president, coming and handling the situation, as a leader, a sober leader, I had no reason but to come and support him.
All right. So from where you sit, and based on that Damascus moment, would you say now the cost of living, the livelihood of Kenyans has changed since before 2024 and until, since you saw the Damascus moment, until today? Would you say Kenyans are better placed? Kenyans are living better? Courtesy of the president?
I will not talk about Kenyans. I will talk about myself. I'm a Kenyan as well. And I can talk about my neighbors or my friends that we have grown with. Few meters from this studio, it is Mukuru slums, where I was born in Fortanyayo. In a Mabati house, 6 of us, plus 2 parents, 8, living in turns. Sleeping in turns. Sleep in 1 hour, unaenda unazurura, unarudi 1 hour, unaenda unachemba. But now we have a president in 2024, 2025, who came through affordable houses and gave us a dignified, affordable houses where we are living right now. It's just behind here, Mukuru Estate. So that is the Damascus moment that I saw. This is a leader who has listened to people, to young Kenyans, rejected the finance bill. Few months later, they have come, they've built. I've never felt, in my entire generation, I've never felt the impact of a government. But for the first time, I saw a government who really cares about the Mwananchi at the bottom.
Okay. Benjamin. Many people have touched the elephant.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you different texture, depending on where they touch. Yeah. Some touch the skin, others the lower soft bottom, others, depends. When you hear this, because I'm saying this because you are equally youthful. And both of you are agitating for the same thing about Kenya. The difference is how or whom you want to be in charge of this country. When you hear such comments, what do you make of them? And are you agreeable to what he's saying?
Such comments are quite unfortunate because whatever he's speaking about is exactly the opposite of what is happening and what Kenyans are experiencing with this regime. Because, this regime had a lot of promises to Kenyans from 2022. They promised the heavens and provided nothing to people. Because, when you have a head of state who is a symbol of unity, and the head of state, and I will refer to June 25th, our protest, the president, at that particular day, I remember watching an interview of him being asked a question. And I believe one of those presenters belongs to this particular station. I don't know if they're still here, but the question was, there was someone who was shot. And the president had the guts to tell Kenyans on national television that this person might still be alive, or is the person not still alive? We're having an argument. Somebody has been shot, but the president is arguing whether the person is alive or dead. So the things that we've experienced in this government are just quite unfortunate, because they promised that we are going to have rule of law, that we are not going to have enforced disappearances. We are experiencing just after like a few weeks after we have seen Albert Ojwang's CCTV footage, yet again there's another gentleman who has unfortunately been killed inside a police station.
His name is Eric.
So it is quite unfortunate when you see a young person who is aspiring to be a leader. I don't know in whatever capacity he is aspiring to be a leader, but the kind of words that are coming from his mouth are demeaning to the people of this country.
Benjamin, I want to look at Mwananchi and in the process of politics, elections, right? And I look at that from an angle of, there is what the political class say they want to do for the people, right? Yes. There is what Mwananchi wants done for them. Do those things reconcile? What exactly is being done in the country today? What Mwananchi wants, or what the leadership, what the political class want to do?
Simply, the Mwananchi wants to be listened to. The Mwananchi wants their grievances to be heard. They want a government that listens to the people. They want a government that can be accountable for whatever they do. Not about these blame games like he's saying about the Wamunyoro. Wamunyoro is not in government. He left the government. He was impeached. He is in opposition. Why can't the government focus on doing their development as they promised Kenyans? Why can't they ensure that they stop enforced disappearances? Why can't they ensure that we have a government that is working and not PR, like we have been seeing people being called to State House? We have seen yesterday they have now shifted from watchman to private security. Such kind of things to at least fool people that they are at least appreciated. Why at this particular time, whereby we are coming into an election period, is when government is so preoccupied in inviting people to State House?
Mwanza, when you talk about cost of living, Mwananchi wants cost of living so that things are affordable for them today, not expensive. Mwananchi wants to be able to have 3 meals a day, be able to take their children to school in an affordable, accessible way. They want healthcare to work. These are promises that Mwananchi were given. Where you sit today, do you reckon that based off the promises that were given and what is being delivered, that contract has been delivered?
Yeah, it has. When we look at our manifesto, I wasn't there when, my president was promising that. We were on a different camp. But even before I answer that, my good friend here, and I have a right of rebuttal, I said that it's so unfortunate for me to speak whatever I'm talking about. If I've heard him correctly, 98% of what he has talked about is about what happened in 2024. So if you remove 2024 Gen Z revolution from the mouth of Linda Mwananchi or the confused opposition, there's nothing much they have to offer about this government. I have not heard them or him speak about what they are going to do to better the lives of Mwananchi. All they say that, oh, my dad promised, my dad has failed this, my dad this and all that. Personally, I've said
I'm
according
going,
to
I'm
me,
going to ask you to please refer to the president as the president. Okay.
But I'm
no,
used to it.
no. I can understand.
Once in a while, if
I can understand
my
what
tongue
you're-
might slip.
Excuse me. I can understand what you're used to, but in this situation, I'm going to ask that you refer to President William Ruto as President William Ruto. Okay.
But you also referred Baba to
Thank you.
Baba.
Thank you.
Without stopping
think we
people.
clearly-
Can you
Really,
please-
it will be unfair to stop me from calling William Ruto.
We will not argue on this. Let's just do that and continue with the argument.
So unfortunate, but well, I'll continue. He still remains to be my dad. So my president has delivered. When you ask me about what Kenyans feel about, is it, can they afford 3 meals a day and all that? I am a living testimony. That's why I'm talking about myself. When you ask him to talk about himself, what he's going to do or how he feels, he doesn't talk about himself. He talks about Kenyans. But for me, I'm telling you, from where I sit, from where I stand, I feel like the president has really delivered. When you talk about health, you saw the other day what my president launched. That's a milestone. That is history. Everything this government is doing for the first time. Having that emergency, whereby if you get you get an accident, you can always reach out by calling 922.
All right, so
that's something that we should be proud of.
One thing that has been launched on once as well is Social Health Authority, where Social Health Authority had specific deliverables that were to be given to Mwananchi. Today, if you go to hospitals, you speak to Kenyans, many will tell you, rather those that we have spoken to will tell you, they have tried to access healthcare. It has been difficult. You speak to providers themselves, the hospitals, they say they have difficulties in them being paid by that same system called SHA. Many would want to access SHA and the system would be down, not for a day, for weeks. We talk about education, the promise of education. University funding model is a problem. It is the president himself, after launching the presidential working party and the decisions that were made, who told us this thing is not working. We will come back and relook into it. Today, as we speak, it's going to get expensive for students to access education. It is not me saying. It is facts on ground based on numbers that do not lie. We talk about security in the country. Just the other day, a gentleman was killed in a police station. The president promised not to disappear anyone. The promise to take care of Kenyans. He promised that no one else will die under his watch. Omwansa, are these the promises that President William Ruto gave Kenyans?
Good. You have talked about many issues, 3 or 4, and I'll tell you, even starting with SHA, when you say that the people that you have talked to, they claim that it's not working. Like I've told you personally, I'm a living testimony. From Ukuru here, our area, I've taken people to Mbagathi, I've taken people to Kenyatta National Hospital, people who have not even enrolled to SHA. But when you reach there, you're being told you can enroll there, pay for at least for a few months, and get help, get the services. It is working. The number of michangos that we used to have in our community, in our village, in the slums, have reduced drastically. I mean, the SHA is working. Personally, I can confirm SHA is working. So when I hear people here talk about SHA is not working, I don't know what kind of people they are. When you say many people, maybe you can come and give us evidence, tangible evidence, and tell us that it is not working.
I do have that.
But personally, because I have confirmed that it is working. I have family members who have benefited from SHA and it's really working. Coming to tertiary education, my president promised and said tertiary education is going to be free for everyone. Now the question we are asking, where is he going to get the money? The same way you are asking, where is he getting money to do all this that he's doing? And I will tell you, ni akili mtu wangu. Ni akili. That's why we are having a leader and not a politician like the other people. They are now worried where my president is getting money from.
University education going to be free as promised by the president?
It is going to be free. If you listen to carefully to what the Ministry of Education, yesterday they had a meeting with the parliamentary, department for education. They gave out the deliverables where they're going to get that money from. And it is very clear that our education, the same way we had, how did we arrive to have free primary education?
because one president, Mwakiwa,
How
said
did we
it's gonna
have?
be
How did
free.
we come? How did we arrive to have 100% transition from primary to secondary? The same way, my president has been doing all these things, and I know and I believe in him that he's going to have the tertiary education fund.
I think it's necessary for us to take a break at this point. Okay, so let's just do that. We'll take a break and we'll come back and continue with this conversation. It's 29 minutes to 9.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
President, this is across the board. Kabanya, your question.
Okay. Now, currently, we are getting into a political discourse because this is the final year towards the ballot. And hence you hear all these alliance formation, movements coming up, people choosing sides to support. But unfortunately, even during a dictatorship, there are beneficiaries. So there are people who will come up and protect and defend a dictatorial system. Until it loses power, that's when they realize that actually the people who are protesting against it, they were right. I guess that is something we wait to see, because people are arguing in some quarters that in Kenya we are short of a dictatorship. We can sit here and defend the positions that we hold politically. It's our democratic right. That is okay. But we also have to be realistic and factual. Today, you go through the papers, you hear cries and woes of Kenyans in different forms and manners. KEMSA today cannot deliver medication because they have not been paid. They're having issues with procurement and payment. Kids, the feeding program is not working because it has been delayed. We've had issues of capitation being delayed. Transition of education, grade 10 kids, scores of kids did not make it to school. They dropped out. And many other issues. Eric just lost his life from a police station. Many other, the list is endless. We could talk about affordable housing. Affordable housing has not reduced the slum dwelling that was meant to wipe out. So, and actually the numbers that have been constructed to completion are less than 20,000, and we were promised, I think, 200,000 per year. This is the 4th year. So it is important that we are realistic in our argument so that we are able to make an informed decision. Because again, tomorrow, we may have, hopefully, by the collective will of the people, a new president. And when you're not able to call that president a close friend, you will want service provision to be equitable. So I think that's something we need to be alive to, especially the youthful persons, because they are argued to be the 70% of Kenyans. Therefore, the decision on how the vote goes is highly dependent on them. But I want to ask you, Benjamin.
Yes.
You affiliate yourself with the Linda Mwananchi. You are accused of being a project. How is that?
I think speculations and rumors are spreading out there because we'll just use an example of recently this on Kalonzo Musyoka. Mm-hmm. You saw how they were saying that he has joined the other side. But I would say this, that Linda Mwananchi is a properly constituted movement of the people. And this movement was enacted after the removal of Senator Edwin Sifuna, His Excellency H.E., the 6th President of the Republic of Kenya, was removed from ODM party. Now, this arrangement and formation of young...
He wasn't removed from the party. Just
he
clarify.
was moved as...
He was removed as the SG.
As the Secretary
Yes.
General.
Okay.
And as the whip.
So you find that after this, the arrangement of young parliamentarians and senators who came together and formed a movement of purpose. They started traversing across the country, and people were aligning with the ideals, not only of the young people, but also because some people believed in the cause and determination of Edwin Sifuna with regard to issues that were of concern to the nation, which was the 10-point agenda and the article report, which he was pushing for. So you find he left, he had a different dialect that was trajectory to whatever they ought to have done as the broad-based team. But unfortunately, of course, we always know the gimmicks they would never be able to achieve. So that is why you find that certain people who believe in the ideals of Baba Raila Odinga were able to align with Edwin Sifuna and the Linda Mwananchi team, because not only the young people were they championing for, but also the ideals of the party.
Are we running into a situation where young people are picking up on narratives that have been there before, or aligning with people who've been there, give or take, for the last 30 years? And if we want to look at a development agenda or a track record that can actually be pegged to, you find yourself hard-pressed to find one. Are young people falling into the trap, or anybody who's coming into the fray falling into trap? Because I'm going by the very first thing that you said, as opposed to putting ourselves up to have a go at the thing. What we're doing is aligning with leaders who can actually deliver. For how long will that be? Because on one side, the conversation is, because this is what we heard, even when I'm going to call you Double O, even when Mombasa was in the riots, even when, rather, in the demonstrations in 2024, it was drain the swamp. Those were the things that we're hearing. Drain the swamp. Everybody has got to go. We've got to get to ground zero where there's no basement and build this thing again. But then I hear you saying, so what we're going to do is we're going to align with the ones who've been there before, so that they can, same ones who were there before, so they can now come and now deliver this thing. I'm confused.
You see, when we were in the streets as young people, we were championing for reforms, but we had no proper political structures that would be able to push a political agenda as young people. We were not properly constituted in a political system or anything like that. We were just agitated because of the grievances we had at that particular time. So you find that the reason as to why people are aligning politically with certain leaders, especially I would speak about Linda Mwananchi and Edwin Sifuna, because we have seen the consistency of Edwin Sifuna and how he has been articulating issues in Senate, how he has been pushing for the rule of law and pushing for reforms. So he has been basically with the people. Yes.
Well, but Benjamin, as we come to a month here, when you see now the likes of Edwin Sifuna, now merging forces, and that's what Ndu is alluding to, with persons like Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, right? A person who has been in this space not for 50 years, but for 40 years. He corrected the nation. And you don't hear newness of ideology. You don't hear new vision. That seems to be the new word we are supposed to be talking about for the country. And then, of course, there is close dalliance between Edwin Sifuna and Uhuru Kenyatta. So there is reservation, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a reservation that Uhuru Kenyatta wants to extend himself through pushing on a project. It could be anybody. It could be Safina, it could be Sifuna, it could be Kalonzo, it could be Matia, it could be anyone.
Freudian slip.
But people are like, I do not want, Kenyans are saying, they do not want a repetition of what Uhuru Kenyatta did to the nation. And therefore, much as Sifuna might be someone who has an opinion on how we can better run this nation, could his affiliation with persons like Uhuru Kenyatta, Kalonzo Musyoka, and the likes cost him this political opportunity?
I think I haven't seen Uhuru Kenyatta physically with Edwin Sifuna on that capacity. But I would say this, that it is now time for people as Kenyans to decide on what kind of leader they want for this nation.
And who is that?
And that
This is what we're asking. Who is that?
And that person must be pushing the ideals of the people and speaking on what people want to for this country. Because you find that we have had the united opposition, they have been there time and again, we have witnessed, but Linda Mwananchi has become more popular and become more engaging with the people, and people feel more safe and sound with such kind of dialect. So you find that the opposition, giving them credit that they are also looking out for the people, but Linda Mwananchi is becoming a very, very dangerous wave.
Monza, Before Joe gets in,
Sure.
one asks the question then, if you look at the young people and how they've been positioned within political parties and the demands that they had in 2024, including you, the demands that you had in 2024, are they being accommodated within the broad-based government? Because remember, the broad-based arrangement had a 10-point agenda that had to be fulfilled. And when you look at the scorecard that has been given with regard to achieving the 10-point agenda, there are issues, So one then asks the question, at what point is the voice of Mwananchi, the voice of the youth being heard and given priority in terms of even going for leadership position within this coalition that does exist?
That's a very, very good question. And I will tell you for sure, those are some of the reasons why I joined the ruling party. The party that listens to young people. That's why in all these parties, it's only UDA that has a Gen Z, department, or I can call it a forum. It's only the UDA. These others, you'll hear youth leader, youth what, youth all that. But for the first time, we are having a party that listens to the people. When we had the broad-based, you realize that we have a principle.
You still have it.
Sorry?
You still have it. Still existing.
We still have it.
Oh, yeah. Cool. No, we are one thing. I've even forgot. So the broad-based, we have a principal secretary for youths called Fikirini Jacob, who was a comrade, my fellow comrade. I mean, when you see a young person like him being at the helm of, leadership, it gives you hope as a young person that the future is now, or the future is promising.
How does a young person, the person that you've just referenced to as well, stands accused of having being involved or around shooting another young person?
I didn't even finish speaking, my good brother. He's alleged.
Yes.
He's alleged.
That's what
the matter is still in court. I don't want to talk about those circumstances that happened in that car.
Okay.
But that is up to the court to decide what happened. Because we all know, we have been talking about goonism out here, and you know how it happens. People have lost life, people have been injured. So I don't want to talk about that. But for what I know, that's why my good brother, when he was talking about what the papers say, and what I have seen, what I've experienced. So should I trust the papers or should I trust myself? I have seen what the government has done to me. So should I really, put myself aside and trust what the papers or the Standard is saying, or any Daily Nation? So what I'm saying is, personally, I am living testimony. When I see a leader like Fikirini Jacobs being at the helm of leadership, he has brought ideas, or he has pushed for some of the issues that we want as young people. Look, we are going to have the National Youth Council election. For the first time ever, we are going to have the election. That is an achievement to us. That's something we should be proud of. For all this time, it's almost 1 hour. I still, and I remind my good brother here, I've not heard him talk about anything that they are going to do as Linda Tumboza or Linda Mwananchi. There's no plan, there's no agenda, no nothing. But for us here, as the ruling party, as the Gen Z UDA party, or as the broad-based, we have seen what our leaders have done. Our leaders have listened to us. Our leaders are doing what they promised, and we are happy. And this is the safest place for any young person or any Gen Z to be part of.
So, Kavanya.
Yes. Well, it is interesting, how we view things differently. And it's true. Perhaps you have benefited from this regime. Perhaps you appreciate the governance that is in place today. No one can take that away from you. But in nation building, we look beyond ourselves. A good country, a good government, a good regime is known by how it takes care of the vulnerable, not the direct beneficiaries. So when you look around the country, even where you live, do you have enough clean water? Is there enough sewer system for everybody, not necessarily for you as a person? Are all the kids in your neighborhood going to school? Those are the things we talk about because that is what the nation is about. If we were to talk about our own selves, I am sure the outgoing President William Ruto has employed people whom he pays. So he has created jobs in his own private businesses, and those people are right to say they are happy with him. But here, this is matters of the nation. When we talk of a country, it is not about I as an individual. It is about we, the people of the nation. That is why even the Constitution talks about we, the people. If we were to go and assume that direction of individualism, then we will be happy to say, because that takes us back to the old age politics of Mtuwetu. and how the proximity of myself to power. We'd then be seeing that the CS education, the community he comes from, everybody will be enjoying a standardized, quality, accessible education. But we all know that is not the case. We would be seeing the CS health, the community he comes from would be enjoying quality, accessible healthcare. But we know that is not the case. So it's not about the individual, it's about the nation. And that is why we have the collective mandate to go and vote as a people, so that we can decide how do we aggregate and make sure those who have, those who don't, those who can, those who cannot are equally addressed by the government we put in office. We have to distance ourselves from individualism to collective nation building. Do you not agree to that?
I agree to that. But if that is the issue, then my president will be the ideal candidate for 2027. Because his leader is on record the other day speaking from, I think, Bungoma,
Right.
saying that people from his community, they sleep with their chicken. The chicken cannot, fly or climb or whatever it is to 12th floor of affordable. He was talking about himself and his community. But we have a president here who has exercised equality to all Kenyans. It's not about me. The difference between me and most of us out there or here, it is that they talk about the negative side of the government or the challenges that Kenyans are going through that they cannot justify. Me, I'm talking about what I have seen. I'm not speculating and saying. But again, if you go to all these places out here in the country, right now Kenya is a construction site. There are thousands and millions of Kenyans who are working, who are offering services to build this nation, directly or indirectly, supporting or building this nation through what the government, the jobs that the government has created. So when I talk about myself, I've said personally, I've got the affordable houses. I've seen Shah working, but there are also young people or even middle or age older people working in different places of this country. There are job opportunities. The Maori Roni Summit, there are people working there. Are they not Kenyans? They have benefited. They have also they are also maybe developed in terms of their living standards are bettering. We have people, thousands of people in Bomas, Talanta. Those are also Kenyans. Why don't we also talk about them when you say it's not about me? It's about millions of young people or millions of Kenyans who have gotten job opportunities from this government. So when you say that it's about myself, it's not about myself. I'm saying that because it's me, what I have seen. I don't want to talk about others. If you want others, maybe we can go to Bomas, we can go to Dogokundu, we can go to markets that this government has built. We can ask the young people who are in schools how they're going to benefit about a tertiary education fund.
Benjamin, a story is told that if you want to kill a frog, just put it in cold water and place the water on a stove or fire. It will slowly warm up, boil, and eventually it will roast and boil the frog. And then you do with it as you wish. If you ascribe to countries I've been to, that becomes a very sumptuous meal for yourself. Now, my point is this. Circumstances do change. If you don't change with them, then you're going to have quite a friction. In your opinion, because I believe the advancement of Linda Mwananchi, whether it's affiliated to the legacy politicians or not, we leave that to time. I think the advancement is calling for good governance. But then there are people who are saying, no, this regime should be awarded a second term. And then they serve for the next 5 years. From where you sit, do you think people are being unfair to the one president, William Ruto? Do you think people are being ungrateful because we've been told we need a benevolent dictator, are being ungrateful to the favors extended by the president that they are not willing to reward him with a second term? Do you think Kenyans are being irrational by raising all these concerns and calling upon implementation of our constitution that seems to be suspended? Do you think Kenyans are being unfair?
No. I think it's the other way around, because you find that President William Ruto overpromised Kenyans. But the problem Kenyans are having is implementation and the manner in which that implementation is being done. Because you find that certain basic things, like just ensuring the country is secure, safety of a citizen is guaranteed, is not happening. Because you find Kenyans are unsafe wherever they are. because today people back then were comfortable to sleep at least in a police station and not pay hongo. But you find that people are scared for their life. They don't know what might happen. They don't know if they would comment on Twitter or anywhere, if they would be abducted, if they would be killed, if they would be threatened, their family would be threatened. So it is quite unfortunate that the exact opposite of what William Ruto was complaining about his former boss is what he is actually enacting in his government. Because when you tell us that the police force is independent, then we are seeing the police pulling political stands that are gauging towards political opposition, which is directly affiliated to the interest of the president and the opposition. Then therefore, that is just very clear for anyone to see that this is a political move. So if the police force is independent, why can they not work independently and conduct themselves in a manner of dignity and respect for the Constitution? Because as far as things are concerned, we are not upholding the Constitution at this particular point in time.
Monza, you've talked about development. Roads are being done, markets are being built. These are things that the president said he would do. And it's not a favor. For instance, I would never clap for the president for doing its job. It's his job. It's why he sought for that office. When you talk about healthcare and SHA, when it has worked for you, Omonsa, and it has not worked for me as a Seto, at that particular point, that service that was supposed to offer universal health service has failed. And that's just what failure is. When you talk about protecting Kenyans, you sought to protect Kenyans. If I want to enjoy these projects that have been done, I must be alive. I would not enjoy them when I'm dead. That right there is another definition of failure. Whilst everything has happened, you being inside this government, what is your responsibility? Because one would say you are closer to the echelons of power, the ruling party. What is your responsibility in making sure that Kenyans are not disappeared, Kenyans are not dead, that the same way SHA has worked for you works for me as a Seto and many other Kenyans?
So will I be wrong if I say, if it failed for you, it has failed, and it worked for me, it has worked? I mean, you're saying if it has failed for you, it has failed. But if it works for me, when I say it has worked, you say it is wrong.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. I'm only saying you're wrong.
No, you're saying it has failed. It has not failed. It's challenges.
This is what I'm saying.
Let him answer.
Okay.
It has worked for you.
Yes.
It has not worked for me.
So those are challenges.
But the initial conversation about universal health coverage is that it covers everyone universally. Where it has worked for you and it has not worked for me, the system has failed because that is not the promise that was given. That is not the intention of this service.
Those are challenges, and of course, we are still working on that. And when we receive those responses, I'm very sure the people in charge, they're always looking up to that and working on it. So don't just blanket and say that it has failed. It has not failed. How does it fail yet it is working for me? Yeah, so anyway, when you talk about that, like my responsibility when I'm in the ruling party and to see cases, it's so unfortunate that we lost another young man in Muthaiga.
No, we didn't lose him. He was killed.
Yeah.
He's not lost a coin on the road.
Yeah, condolences to the family. Yeah. We also have a matter of Albert Ojwang. It is in court. You can see that still, the corridors of justice are still working on that. And I'm sure at the end of the day, the family will get justice, and the people who took part in that will be jailed or
but Omwanzia,
get judgment.
The Kenya we have, and the Kenya I believe we all want, is one where those things do not happen. Is one where Albert Ojwang does not have to lose.
Exactly.
Listen, please, because this man was taken from his parents' home by policemen, delivered to a police station, and then he was found dead, right? He was killed.
Yeah, of course.
Now we're talking about Eric. It should not be about compensation, my friend. In my opinion, while I respect your opinion, I think we need to have a wider spectrum of views and appreciation that it is not about us again. It is about we and the country. What? Because today, you are close. Even if William Ruto came back as a president, it's only for the next 5 years. If we have another president from 2037, whom we are not close to, who cannot give you the beneficiaries of the regime, the benefits of a regime, I'm sure you will want justice. You will want a good country for yourself, your neighbors, your families, and your community, and the entire nation. So, if that is what you'd want in future, I think we should desire the same now for everybody. Please, so that we are able to not just protect ourselves and your interests, but make sure that this country, when we say no one is left behind, we actually mean that. We do not need to be here defending a regime where people have died under their watch. And we are talking about compensating them. Just imagine if that person was your relative. Because just because you're holding brief for the government, it does not mean your entire family. You yourself, you were shot with a rubber bullet. What would have happened to you if it was a live bullet and you had died? Would you want your parents to be told they're going to be compensated?
You see, you can also agree with me that we have the law, and we still have those, ill-minded people in the society. We cannot 100% do away with them. That's why my president swore to protect the rule of law, so that these people can serve as an example to others. So that's the way we can reduce or end this matter. So when we say that, we can just completely 100%. But they say mgala muwe na haki mpe. We have a super PS for interior, a national coordination.
Okay.
Let me just. There's a super PS. We have seen development in terms of insecurity. Super PS Raymond Omolo. What he has done. Some of us as students, we are working closely with the national, coordinating committee, like the people at the realms of security, the DO, the DCC, and all the county commissioner to help reduce insecurity, and it has worked. So when I talk about that is something that I have seen. It has worked. Wow. For some of us.
I'm going to take a last comment from you, Benjamin, as we then wrap up this conversation at this hour, please.
It's quite unfortunate to hear my brother here.
You came to hear to me, or you came to talk about
finish? Saying that people who have butchered our constitution are the people he's praising today. I was wondering if William Ruto is this cunning with people while he's serving his first term. What about when he needs no vote in his re-election? That is assuming if William Ruto would come back. So it is quite saddening to the nation that we are experiencing this. So I would just tell Kenyans, let us work on the kind of leaders we want to elect. Let us not be emotional when we elect leaders in 2027. Let us elect a leader who has a clear vision, a clear track record, a leader who has been consistent with the ideals of the people. And that is one Edwin Sifuna.
Benjamin Omamo is president of the Linda Mwananchi Youth League. Omwansa M. Omwansa is UDA Gen Z leader. Gentlemen, no, you had them, which you used. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Asanteni Sana. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start